All right, so now we're going to look at using the same examples that we had before, but now using the synthetic division. And you can basically use either method. It doesn't really matter what you use. Whatever you're happiest with doing, that's what you can do. So I'll show you this method as well. All right, so basically the set out here is not, we don't use the x's at all, we just put the coefficients. So we'll just, the way we write it is a little bit different. So we have this like elongated L thing here, and we'll put the coefficients of each of these in here. So x cubed, the coefficient is 1, x squared, the coefficient is 1, the negative 14x, so we write negative 14, and then we've got negative 24. And we leave a space here because we're going to put some numbers in here as well. The other thing to look at too is that we need to put here the value of x that would make this expression equal to 0. Okay, so we put here negative 2, because negative 2 plus 2 would be 0. All right, so the first thing we do is we put our 1 right down here. And we multiply this 1 by negative 2, so it becomes negative 2. And now we add. So previously with our long division we subtracted, but with this we add. So 1 plus negative 2 would be negative 1. And then we multiply again. So negative 1 times negative 2 to give positive 2. And now we add. So negative 14 plus 2 to give negative 12. And then negative 12 times negative 2 gives us positive 24. And then we add, leaving us with 0. All right, so here we can see, here's our number here, which is our remainder. So this last number is always our remainder. And if we go back a couple of pages, we can see that when we worked that through, here was our remainder of 0. Now you can see here, we had our coefficient of x squared as being 1, then it was negative 1, and then it's negative 12. So if we go forward, we've got 1, negative 1, and negative 12. These numbers here are the coefficients of our quotient. Okay, and this the x term here will have a power 1 less than what we started with here. So our quotient is going to be one x squared, so 1 power less than that. So 1x squared minus 1x, minus x, and then minus 12. Okay, and there's our remainder of 0. So you can see it's a fairly quick method once you get the hang of it. So we'll go through it again with this one here. Setting it out the same. And writing down the coefficients of each. And again, notice there's no x squared term here, but we need to have the coefficient of that. So we write down 3 for x cubed. Then it's plus 0x squared, so we put a 0. Then a 1 for the 1x, and then minus 3, our constant term. Okay, now we need to write down here as a value, the value of x that makes this expression equal to 0. So this would be 2 minus 2 gives 0, so we'll put 2 out the front. Now we start by putting our 3 that we have here straight down. All right, and we go 3 times 2 to give 6, and we add, so that's 6. 6 times 2 to give 12, and we add to give 13. Then 13 times 2 to give 26, and then add, so that's 23. And so our quotient is 3x squared, okay, 1 power less than that, so 3x squared plus 6x plus 13 with a remainder of 23. So our answer we could write as 3x squared plus 6x plus 13 plus 23 over x minus 2. And let's check. That's what we've got here. 3x squared plus 6x plus 13 plus 23 over x minus 2. Okay, so it's a little bit of a longer process here than this. This is certainly quicker. And yeah, if you can manage that, I'd encourage you to do it. But at the same time, if you are looking at the possibility of doing further mathematical study involving specialized and complex numbers and that sort of thing, long division is better because it's always works. Okay, synthetic division does not work in every situation, and it's a little bit different with the next one that we'll do, so you'll see as we go to that. Okay, so here we've got 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus x minus 2 dividing by 2x plus 1. So we'll set out our synthetic division the same way. Okay, so we write 3, 2, negative 1, negative 2, and our value for x that makes this expression equal to 0, which will be negative 1 half. Okay, because 2 times negative a half is negative 1, plus 1 would be 0. Okay, if you're wanting to work that out, you could just say 2x plus 1 equals 0 and then solve the equation. So we get 2x equals negative 1 and then x will equal negative 1 half. Okay, so that's our number that we have here. All right, let's go through the same process. So we bring down our 3 and then go 3 times negative a half, which would be negative 3 over 2, then add these. So negative 1.5 plus 2 would be 1 half. And then a half times negative a half is negative a quarter. And then add these. So that's negative 5 over 4. And then negative 5 over 4 times negative 1 half, which would be positive. I won't worry about rolling that. Yep, so that becomes 5 over 8. And then adding these together, which we say negative 2 plus 5 over 8, that's negative 1 3/8, or negative 11 over 8. So let's just compare what we've got here with the result that we had previously. So you'll notice here we've got 3 over 2 plus a quarter minus 5 over 8. We've got 3, 1 half, and negative 5 over 4. Okay, there's a difference here. And what we need to do to get the actual answer, now this here, you'll notice the remainder is actually the same. Okay, negative 11 over 8, negative 11 over 8. So our remainder is the same. Okay, that's the same. But these numbers are different. In actual fact, what we have to do is to get our answer, let's just check. Okay, it's positive, positive, negative. Positive, positive, negative. So the signs are right. However, the values are different. What we need to do is we need to take each of these values and divide it by this number here. Okay, so our actual answer will be 3 over 2 x squared plus 1/2 divided by 2, so that's a quarter, so that's plus 1/4x minus 5/8, because when we go 5/4 divided by 2, it becomes 5/8. And then our remainder, minus 11/8 times 2x plus 1 is our answer. Okay, so here there's just an extra step involving whenever, and that happens whenever we're dividing by an expression that where our x here doesn't have a coefficient of 1. So because we've got a 2 here, that just changes things a little bit. Okay, so we just need to get all of these numbers here, except the remainder, and divide it by that 2. And that will give us the actual value.